So if you guys are unaware, Breaking Bond, which is a segment from the Houston local news, I think they're Fox affiliate, is one of the best segments on any local news station anywhere. If you're in the Houston area, I highly recommend you watch these segments because they do an excellent job highlighting the failures of judges in their administration of the bail bond system, specifically in the city of Houston. And we're going to talk about a case that, of course, led to those dire consequences, but this video is sponsored, so let me toss it to the sponsor, and then we'll bring it back over here, and we'll discuss it on the other side. The signs of future economic trouble for investors and savers are all around us. Bloomberg is warning of, quote, a severe economic reset, and gold appears as a caged bull awaiting a catalyst. In May of this year, JP Morgan said cut stocks, buy gold, and hold on to your cash. And people at Wells Fargo believe that gold might be in a super cycle, and it could last for the next 6 years. And in fact, they might be projecting $3,000 an ounce for gold. The time for gold is here, and demand is already soaring. This is why I'm happy to tell you that I'm partnering with National Gold Group. You can call them at 866-826-2603 and talk to somebody about protecting your assets by moving them into gold. Now, right now, they're running a feeless transfer for their gold IRAs. If you call them at that number and mention that I send you, and they will talk you through with their world-class, first-class, American-based customer service and let you know how you can get into precious metals to hedge your bets against the financial disaster. National Gold Group is rated as one of the top gold dealers by Consumer Affairs, and again, you can reach them at 866-826-2603. There is always a risk with any investment, and past performance is never a guarantee of future results.
On tonight's Breaking Bond, after a judge revokes, then reinstates an 18-year-old man's bond, he allegedly murders a 26-year-old father of four.
Fox 26's Randy Wallace joining us live now with the latest in his exclusive ongoing series. Randy.
So this guy right here, if you guys are unaware, I'm here to inform you, is actually the Houston, Texas version of William Shatner. Look at him. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And he's going to tell us this absolutely tragic tale where a father of four was murdered by somebody who should have clearly and obviously been held in prison, never granted bond, but of course he violated all the conditions of his bond and he was continuously released anyway.
Rushy, judges have the power to revoke a defendant's bond and keep them behind bars, but a judge's decision to let an 18-year-old back out after just one day may have cost a father of four his life. 26-year-old Jaime Torres had a lot to smile about. 5-year-old twin girls, a 4-year-old boy, and an 11-month-old baby girl. His widow describes him as a hard-working, strong, devoted father who was never in any trouble. That's something 18-year-old Jaime Salinas can't say.
So there are three things that you should notice. First and foremost, this man was an educated father of four, and he did not deserve to be killed in this way. Secondly, the suspect in this incident has one of the most ridiculous mugshots of all time. He's basically laughing at that as he's been arrested for murder. And you will also notice that this is a complete Latino-based story. They're all Latinos and based on the guilt by association of groups for any actions of individuals. Since I am in fact Latino, that makes me guilty of this crime as well, based on how some people view coverage of crime based on the people who perpetrate it.
That's something 18-year-old Jaime Salinas can't say. On October 17th of last year, Salinas was charged with disarming a police officer.
Now, it's one thing to highlight that somebody was out on bail when they committed an additional crime, but if the initial offense is not that serious and you understand why that person got bail, then you could say, okay, not a big deal. I mean, the criminal justice system can't crack down and prevent every future crime based on the fact that you were arrested previously, but obviously, as you just heard, this is not one of those cases. This guy was pulled over by a police officer. He fought against the police officer and took his firearm. If you needed something to prove that somebody was a dangerous person, somebody would reoffend again, didn't care about consequences, it would be actions like that in particular. I'm surprised that this person wasn't shot for his troubles, by other officers, when he clearly and obviously made moves to make himself a deadly threat during that encounter. But this is what happened. This is what the judge had in front of her, and of course, she did what we expected her to do.
There was a reason that the officer pulled him over, they got into it, and then he tried to take his firearm. That's pretty serious offense.
339th Criminal District Court Judge Tavia Bell set Salinas' bond at just $7,500, and he walked out of jail.
Now, they don't go into this in particular, so I don't know this to be true, but typically you end up throwing down, if you want to get out of jail, 10 to 12% of a bail to a bail bondsman. You don't get that 10 to 12% back, and you can end up getting out of jail based on that. Now, this could have been a situation where he had to put up the full amount. I don't know if I expected him to do that unless he was involved in other illicit criminal activity, but it's not clarified in this segment, so I just want to point out, even though they said just $7,500, and you might think that's a lot of money, their chances are he didn't have to put up all that money. He might have had to put up closer to $750 rather than $7,500, but he was put on bond, and bond typically comes with conditions, so you're definitely going to expect that this individual followed all of those conditions of the bond. I mean, he forcibly tried to take and did take a gun from a police officer. He disarmed him during a traffic stop. They released him on bond, but of course they gave him conditions for it, right? This is a dangerous individual, obvious red flags. There is no way this judge didn't just get him out of jail, give him conditions, and let him violate them like nobody's business.
According to pretrial services, Salinas repeatedly violated his curfew requirements. Judge Tavia Bell revoked Salinas' bond, but allowed him to walk out of jail the very next day. She didn't even raise his bond amount.
So yeah, of course, this wouldn't really be a story if the judge acted properly. This wouldn't really be a tale for you to take home and for it to be covered by me if the judge actually did her job. So of course, this guy was violating the conditions of his bond repeatedly. The judge eventually brings him in. She says, I'm revoking your bond. Go to jail. He spends one night in jail, and then the next day she just reinstates his bond. She just says, oh, okay, you're free to go. I'm sure you learned your lesson, Mr. Smile in the mugshot. I'm sure you're a good person now that you spent one night in jail. I'm not even going to charge you any extra money based on the fact that you didn't follow the conditions of your bond before.
That decision, you can plausibly argue, perhaps cost Mr. Torres his life.
I mean, to me, it's beyond argument. If the judge did her job right here and she removed this person who was credibly accused of a dangerous violent felony from the streets, and then after she gave him a chance and he violated that chance, she took that opportunity to do so, then he would not have been out to commit this murder. He would not have been out to commit this crime against this father of four. Now, I know he's the suspect in the crime, allegedly, but it looks like this person is the one that did it.
Torres was found shot to death on May 7th in the service road of the 12,800 block of the Gulf Freeway. Police say Salinas wanted Torres' truck.
His friends did tell us that he came alone and he left alone. And we cannot find his truck.
Now Salinas is charged with capital murder.
So yeah, Salinas, who has a long history of criminality, who again tried to disarm a police officer during a lawful traffic stop, who again violated his bond, killed a man, a father of four with all young children, over a car. He wanted his car. So allegedly, this is what he murdered him for. And they haven't found the truck yet. As of right now, I'm not sure what evidence they got against him, but now they're charging him with capital murder, which, by the way, if they do pursue successfully the death penalty and they put this person to death, that judge's failure to act, failure to do the right thing, not only costs an innocent man his life, but it also costs the young man that she was trying to protect, that she wanted to pretend was an innocent baby angel that didn't do anything wrong, potentially his life. That's where we're at. That's what Soft on Crime has brought us. Potentially 2 deaths, lives ruined of not only the wife, but also the 4 kids. And what was it for? What was the purpose of this? Did we feel better about ourselves that we gave this guy an 11th chance? Did we feel like we did a good thing? Did we feel like, oh, well, there was nothing really we could do about it. This guy was just a guy who likes to steal cars and, disarm police officers and murder fathers. Maybe at some point in the future, he'll rehabilitate himself.
Now Salinas is charged with capital murder. Remember, judges like Tavia Bell have the power to revoke bonds and keep defendants like Salinas behind bars.
Now look, I want to emphasize that not every case of somebody being out on bond committing an additional crime is a case where, but for the bad decision of a judge, that person who is victimized by that additional crime would have been safe. Their harm would not have come to them, or that we should remand every single person to jail awaiting trial. As we know, the process is often quite long. However, when you get an obvious sign that somebody is dangerous, when they have a credible accusation, when they have a violent history, you should probably set the bond at a substantial amount. Then, when they actually pay that bond and they violate the basic conditions of their release, you need to remand them for longer than one night. If this case is true, if the alleged killer does turn out to be the actual killer of this father of four, that means that 4 children are going to grow up without a father, young enough where they'll likely never remember their father, just because this judge refused to do her damn job. Just because this judge didn't want to be one of those people who thought that criminals were actually criminals and not Aladdins, so she decided to cut this guy a break. Just because she thinks the consequences for somebody who's proven himself to be violent and dangerous, who's proven himself to have no respect for authority, should be a one night in jail kind of situation.
As we've seen time and time again on the Breaking Bond segments, you did good by revoking the bond. You just didn't keep it revoked.
Salinas is jailed with bond set for the capital murder charge at $750,000.
Now, thankfully, he's in jail now where he can't hurt any innocent people anymore. His bond is set for $750,000, and we likely won't see this person out again unless some crazy circumstances prove him to not be the killer. But the fact of the matter is, this is a murder that looks like it could have been prevented by a judge being proactive, by a judge treating this case with the severity that it actually deserved, by a judge pointing out that a guy who would disarm a police officer of their firearm is not somebody in a right state of mind that you would want out in the streets. When this guy got some limited conditions on his bond, he violated them time and time again, and he received no consequences for it. And he decided that a vehicle, was worth more than the life of the person he was taking it from, and he's smiling in his mugshot, happy with what he did. And again, I am in support of this person getting the death penalty for it. Soft on crime versus tough on crime is not two competing slogans, not two sides of the same coin. They're actual policies and actual mindsets of individuals in the criminal justice system that tell us whether or not these people are going to emphasize the victims and think about protecting those who are law-abiding, or if they're going to cater to the criminals. In this case, the criminal was catered to time and time again. And guess what? An innocent guy doing the right thing, just graduated from college, married, has a family, 4 young kids, ended up paying with his life. And his family, his woman, and those children will be paying for this for the rest of their lives. Look, I've talked about this before, and I'll say it again. If you're in a red state, I don't give a damn how blue the city is. You, as a red governor, need to take responsibility, and you need to get rid of these left-wing prosecutors and these left-wing judges. The states actually incorporate the cities. This is not a federal government situation where the states create the larger federal government. The cities and municipalities and counties serve at the leisure of the state government, so the state government needs to take action against these people. We cannot allow islands of blue in red states to go bad just because they're islands of blue. If you have the power, you need to use it, and you need to use it for people like the father who lost his life in this story. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social media. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the utter madness that is Houston's criminal justice system. Till next time.